you pursue different dreams and goals throughout your life, and you follow those as fires out in the distance, fires on the horizon. What is done in life is to always be reaching out for new goals and a time for new dreams.
Scott was dynamic and outgoing and really compassionate and really hardworking, and was the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off his back, and actually he did that.
Just an amazing guy with a passion for life that he wanted to share with others.
He's motivational, he gets things done, and he convinces people that they can do it too.
You know, Scott would always want to do great things, but also have fun doing it. And I think that combination is something we can all learn from.
I'm one of many friends of Scott Anderson, and he and I took a canoe trip from Duluth to Hudson Bay back in 1987 when we were 22 years old.
It's kind of amazing that you can paddle from Duluth, from our home, right to salt water. You know, so essentially you can go anywhere in the world from Duluth. And, you know, people know that, I guess, in the backs of their head. We just wanted to really prove it to ourselves that you could do that.
And he was a consummate goal setter and planner. I mean, if he had something in mind that, you know, was going to happen, he would make it happen. And he would bring people like me along with him. You know, I think I had the ability to plan, but maybe not the will or the belief, and that's what he supplied.
I heard of him before as a Duluthian, and I first met him, though, at the Air National Guard. He was sort of larger than life, very, you know, just magnetic.
Scott went through Air Force flight training. He was Air National Guard. It's a great program, but he was a fantastic pilot.
But Scott's more than a top-notch pilot. He's also a writer, a good one. The memoirs from that first book earned Anderson the American Library Association's top honors.
So I read about their canoe trip up north, but then there's another book he wrote, Unknown Rider. Well, this is about F-16s. I knew Scott was an F-16 pilot, and I read through Unknown Rider, and I went, boy, this guy's one heck of a writer. And then he wrote a third book called The Mosquito Book.
What many people don't know is Scott's energy and investment in other kids, how that played out in the community. There's a great story about Scott standing in line at a Target store, and a young kid was literally zooming a pretend airplane through the sky, pretending to be flying in an airplane. Scott turned around and looked at him and said, "Gee, that's a neat airplane. Would you like a ride in one of my airplanes?" And literally invited his father and this young child to come up to the airport, and he took them flying. And that's the kind of energy he would pour into kids on a regular basis.
Near the end of 1995, Scott joined Cirrus to be the chief test pilot. And one of the key aspects that we had to do was to test a parachute on an airplane. This was something that had never been done before. And Scott was in charge of leading that effort to flight test that parachute system.
This was the first certified airplane to have this parachute system. Scott was very involved in how is this going to be tested, how do we need to beef up this airplane for the testing, and how do we do it safely.
He was not just a test pilot, he was everybody's best friend.
The loads on the parachutes were 4 times that of anything tested so far. So we were going into an area that had never been tested before.
But you have to be able to implement those without being able to practice them. So somebody that's confident in their abilities and somebody who's confident in their teammates' abilities. So we trusted each other on everything that we did. The first one was completely unknown what was going to happen. Is the chute going to blow out? Is it going to snag? Is the rocket going to be inadequate? So we had all these emergency procedures if any of those happened. He was absolutely critical. He did 8 of the in-flights. He did 100% of the in-flights. He is the reason that Cirrus got this airplane certified in the time frame that it did.
All of a sudden, for the first time in history, you've got an opportunity where you can fly with absolute confidence that you are not going to be putting your life at stake because that parachute's on board. It is a fundamental paradigm shift.
The calmness you have to have as a pilot to perform these tests and do things under high stressful situations is really important. If you want to know somebody who was calm under pressure, there is nobody that topped Scott Anderson.
And as a direct result of his live deployments and testing of that system, we've had 72 successful deployments that have saved or returned 146 people to their families. Something to be truly proud of, and something that Scott would be elated about today.
March of 1999, Scott was doing some additional testing on an aircraft that didn't have a ballistics parachute installed. And unfortunately, we had a control system problem, and we lost Scott in that accident.
And the result was catastrophic. And in that result, we lost all of that brilliance and wonderful personality of Scott Anderson. And it was devastating.
After Scott died, it was a thing, what's the best way to remember him? And people can show the leadership that he showed. And and that was really the goal, is how do we spread that to a new generation of kids.
It was said in 33 years he lived more than a lot of people will live in their whole lives just because of all the things he did.
When I say we're going to mix up, I want you to make sure that you are not standing by somebody that you know. Look up, that's your partner.
After we lost Scott in March of 1999, about year 2000, a bunch of people that knew him got together and said, we need to carry on his traits, his character, his motivation, his leadership. How can we do that? We said, let's set up a program to mentor high school students. As this evolved, we came into this program where we could do it intensively in 5 days at one location, because we wanted to grow this program. And we grew it to 80, and then we grew it to 90, and grew it to 100. And currently we're at 110 from 14 different high schools in the upper Minnesota area.
Students can expect to find the leader within, and that's how we promote the program. You're going to find strengths that you have, you're going to find weaknesses that you can overcome, you're going to have a new motivation to find the better part of yourself, you're going to find that you have the ability to be more accepting of the people around you. It's a growth opportunity.
We see this as a remarkable opportunity that's in front of us right now to help foster and grow the leaders of tomorrow.
We have just really good leaders in the kids in our community, and I see that every year. And a lot of them, all they need is that confidence and that ability to believe in themselves.
The leadership that they're learning is not simply for leadership so they can check it off their resume, but to really have a transformational week that prepares them to be leaders in whatever communities they find themselves. Where there is learning, there is hope. And these students, such an amazing group of students, there's such hope in the room that these are the students who are going to go out and make the difference in our world.
We are on to meeting who you will be with as your small group for the remainder of the week.
They put you in a group of kids that you don't know anybody from there. You get a little bit uncomfortable, but like everyone's uncomfortable, so I don't know, it gives you a feeling of what this week's gonna be like. It's gonna push you out of your comfort zone, but it's gonna be something that everyone's doing together, so you have to just be ready to embrace it. And you become really close with your small group, and like it doesn't happen right away, but after about 2 days, like there's these people that you don't even know, and then by the end of the week, they can become your best friend.
Just be really open to everybody, and don't be afraid to just step out of your comfort zone, because that's what this week was really about, doing things that you don't think you would necessarily be comfortable doing.
My entire Group 9 family is what we called each other. We still talk today, and I don't know, the 10 of us really got close throughout the course of the week.
I think I really learned to not judge people and to try to be open about them and see what I can find out about them.
By learning about yourself and how you react to other people's personalities and how they perceive you is probably the most important thing about being a leader, is knowing who you are and being able to lead yourself before you can lead others. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from this.
The slogan of the forum is life, it's about the pursuit, not the capture. And the forum is all about making the most of the pursuit.
You get hooked because you see what happens with these students within a week's time, but it also affects our staff. It's the best week of their year. And they're all professional educators, and to hear that from them is pretty cool.
I've seen the lives changed of many kids as they've come through this program.
I think I can speak for a lot of people that didn't really know a lot about this camp, and it truly is a life-changing experience, and talking about it and experiencing it are two different things, and I'm just thankful that I was able to be myself and meet some new people, so thank you guys.
To be able to, in such a short amount of time, actually change the trajectory of a kid's course in life is pretty special.
It was honestly life-changing for me, and it opened my eyes in ways that I didn't even think were possible.
It's probably one of the best weeks I've ever had in my entire life, and it's really enlightening. I think it's definitely an experience that I think everybody should have.
Learning what kind of person I want to be and how I can apply those to my life when I'm out of SALF.
I learned a lot actually about myself and like what kind of leader that I can be for whatever community I'm in.
Our goal as a board is to not simply have a group of kids that we can take through this program here in Duluth, but that we can see this program grow and expand and become a model for other communities to follow. That's our long-term goal. In order to do that, we need people to continue to team with us and help us grow this model.
We've grown the program, and we need to grow the endowment to keep this going. If you're thankful that you're flying a Cirrus, that you have the parachute on board, show your thank you by donating to the Scott Anderson Leadership Foundation, and we can keep students going through learning character, learning volunteering, learning leadership.
So we're hoping to find several people that are willing not only to write a one-time gift, which we certainly would be very grateful for, but to invest in the future of these kids and kids like them to bring forward leaders for tomorrow. It's critical.
The bottom line is these kids are our future, and the more that we can get out of them to be leaders in our community, leaders in our school, leaders in our country, that's what it's all about.
I think Scott would be proud. I know he would be proud that his name is on this leadership program.
We also have Scott's parents that are here, Carol and Paul.
Not one of these kids knew Scott personally, and yet hundreds of kids later have had this amazing experience that clearly was born out of his energy and natural leadership tendencies.
To be able to bring that to so many kids, I think he'd be all smiles.
There's no words that can describe what it has done to me, and how I live my life is going to be based on what I've learned here at SALF, so thank you everyone.